Welcome to Under the Sisterhood, where we honor female experiences. During each episode, I will have intimate conversations with women of all ages to get under the hood of their individual journeys through womanhood. Together, we'll pursue the many aspects of the female experience, creating a sacred space for women to share their stories, their ideas, and their wisdom. This is a podcast to celebrate women and recognize all that they do in our world. I'm Elizabeth Elfenbein. Let's get under the hood. Today, I'd like to welcome and honor Tereza Machado-Menuez. Tereza is a mother, grandmother, sister, friend, artist, stylist, producer, and businesswoman. Tereza was a world-class stylist and producer, as well as she helped run her and her husband's photography studio for many years. I could feel the depth and courage and resilience in Tereza, who fled Brazil when she was 15. I couldn't be more delighted to be getting under the hood with her today. Welcome, Tereza.
You're welcome.
So happy to be having this conversation with you. I mean, so many stories and, such different points of view. So thank you so much for joining me today. So why don't we get going if that's okay?
Yes, that's fine. Let's get going.
Great. So the big general question is, what does being a woman mean to you?
Well, that's a tricky one. I think I couldn't change anything otherwise, so I have to accept what I got. I like being a woman. I never thought like, oh, I want to be a man. Oh, well, something else. No, I like being a woman. I think that we are special. We're a special species. There will be no world or culture or anything without women. Sorry, guys.
I couldn't agree more with that. So let's talk about that a little more, because you're right. We are a special species. That's a very nice way to frame
it. So special.
So tell me what you mean by that. Elaborate some more.
Oh, about being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think we're more creative in a way like if you are in trouble, you find solutions to the problems more faster than men. I feel also that you are in charge of everything around you, the family, everything. Even if a family has 4 kids and 4 of them or 3 of them are boys and there's 1 woman, but in the end, the woman is going to take care of the parents. It's going to be making sure that the family stays together. Yeah, so that's important to me. Is the woman. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So the woman represents, I like that. I think it's really important, regardless of where you are in the family dynamic, the woman takes on the motherly, matriarchal sort of role, is what you're saying, the caretaker, the caregiver, the carer,
the care.
And we spend a lifetime doing that, right?
Yes. And don't forget the friends.
Yes, and the friends as well. So with that, tell me, so of course, women are special and they move mountains and do everything in this world. What has your female experience been like? And, at what age would you say you felt like you were a woman?
Let's see. I think when I get my first boyfriend, or no, I'll be serious. Yeah, I think when I went to college that I was like, oh, I'm by myself, and I'm a woman now. I'm gonna take care of myself. Yeah, I think that as I got older, it got really like, you know, for sure that I was no longer a teenager, like, not so like not care about what was happening around me because, the parties, the friends, and all that. I don't know. Did I make sense?
Well, I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that, your first boyfriend, really,
Yes.
was that inflection point that made you feel like a woman. But in terms of your female experience, so like growing up, like what has your female experience been like? And
My female experience growing up was not um, perfect because, we were like really taught that a woman has to behave like this, and the man is the king of the house and the king of everything. And not that I mind it, but when they stop you from doing things that you want to do and things you think you need to do, that was not fun.
I think that,
Oh, you cannot travel to Rio because you are a woman. You have to have a man with you. I mean, I can never do anything without a man. So it was very, difficult. I
well,
had to
actually,
be to have a chaperone all the time.
so I think that's one interesting aspect. I kind of want to ask you a little more about that. So you grew up in Brazil,
Yeah.
and so, so it's, more of a male dominated culture. So talk a little bit about that, because I know we've talked about that in the past.
Yes. I grew up in the part of the country of Brazil that is very conservative, and everybody has their place, on the society. That women, I always like, the last one to know, or they should know, or they are not supposed to do certain things, and they have to, and that they're watched all the time. They don't have that freedom that you normally do if you are in a bigger town, or if you are in more modern culture like Sao Paulo, Rio, the bigger towns that has, that they have more stuff. Um, so that's the way it was. The man ruled, and it was difficult. It was difficult because if I wanted to be a doctor or something like that, no, you cannot. You can't be a doctor. What if you get married? Doctors, shouldn't get married then. Okay, fine, but it was not fine. Um, there was like, always this. All the good stuff would go to the male. And the males in the family, like, my brothers, or like, my older sister, which was like, she was supposed to be like, all right, we are going to do everything and anything for her to get like a better education, a better everything, because since she's going to marry first, therefore, all the resources are going to her right now. So it's, if you are like the middle child, you're screwed.
Well, I think that's interesting though. I mean, putting the resources so that you get the great catch, the great husband. So if she's
Yeah,
educated well on all these things, that culturally that makes her, more enticing woman to
yeah,
want to marry. So that's a lot of like kind of pressure on her as well. It stinks for
yeah,
you because you don't get the resources, but imagine being put in that position. So that's really hard. Really, really hard. So yeah, I can't, can't even imagine what it would have been like to have grown up in that type of culture where you are sort of in a box, right?
yes, yes. That's but I think it was very orthodox. The only place that it was okay that you go, you know, and talk to your friends, it's like after the mass is over. So everybody goes outside and then you talk. And then your parents start like, coming out and say, it's time to go. And then your father says, I told you, you cannot talk to boys. Well, why? You can't. Boys and girls don't mix. So that's how I grew up.
So interestingly, I want to poke in one other area about this because I think this is interesting. You said that, you couldn't be a doctor yet you went off to college and, so did you feel that there were certain things imposed on what you could and couldn't study as well as you moved into college?
Yeah, when I went to college and I started, and then I came here to visit my sister, and then I went back to Brazil. And at this time, I was living with my um, auntie, my mother's sister, and she said to me, "Well, now that you went to America and you are in college, I have to say something to you when you come home. I just must tell you that things here are different. You follow our rules." I was like, 22.
Mm,
And I said, well, the only way to get out of here is that I either marry anybody that wants to marry me, or I just go back to America. And I end up doing the first. I end up marrying somebody that was a great guy, not a bad man, but he was a man that thought that, he owned me. And I wanted to say that marriage was over pretty quickly. After 5 years, it's like, okay, bye. Um, because that's the way it was, and I couldn't take it. Like, all this pressure to be always perfect and totally always, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't talk to people, I can't, nothing.
control, all the
Control.
control. So
Yeah.
so actually this next question's gonna, I think you'll enjoy because it does bring you back in time, um, which gets you to think about, imagine you're talking to your 18-year-old self and you're saying, Tereza, you're looking at your 18-year-old self in the mirror. What would you tell Tereza, the 18-year-old Tereza today?
What would I tell when I was 18, or what do I tell myself now?
Well, you would be talking to yourself now, but as an 18-year-old. So you could go back in
Okay.
time.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's colliding two
And
worlds.
18, I was like, a very vivacious person. And I was like always had a lot of friends, and I was really trying, like, I think that was really my first real boyfriend at 18. Um, I I dated a man who was much older than I was, and then I'm like, hey, I'm dating my dad. um, but I told myself that I wouldn't get married till I finished college in a way, um, because if you get married and not finish college, probably you won't finish college. So that's what I was telling myself, that I had to be really strong and really focused to do what I wanted to do. Of course, not everything I wanted to do, I did. Um, but I am okay with it.
So you tell yourself to be strong and be focused and stick with
Yes.
your studies, which I think is terrific, which in a way is it's just saying, you'd say to yourself, do you, focus on the things that matter to you. So that
Yeah.
maybe to your point, you wanted to be a doctor, you would have gone that route.
Yes. Education is tops.
Yeah, I
I
think
think,
particular.
yeah. I think women, educated women, um, have more chances in life than no educated women. And it's funny because, the Republicans are just coming out with something that they want to stop women from going to school because they should be home, not having a career. I'm so glad I'm not in whatever those states are.
Yeah, I can't, that's not even, I don't even want to touch that one. That's such a live wire for me because I can't even imagine. But I do think I like the message of doing you and focusing on you and focusing on education. And I think you're absolutely right that an educated woman has more opportunities. And it doesn't, you can be self-educated. It doesn't mean just a college education. You can homeschool, you could do it many different ways. But I think
Yes.
the more you know, the more confidence it breeds. It breeds a lot of internal esteem and empowerment, if you will, which allows you to focus on external and being able to advocate for yourself. So with that, which I think is really interesting, how do you feel about being a woman in today's world?
Well, it feels good in many aspects. I feel like I have a freedom that I didn't have when I was younger. And I feel like, that it's not perfect, but that's something that it's to be still worked on, because society still really think, you know, that women are troublemakers. Um, so I feel like I feel happy in many ways how things are going, but in other ways, I think we're retrograding like very fast. And I feel sad when I see women that agreed with these kind of things because their church or their politics or whatever accept that, because the church is not them. The church doesn't live with them. The church doesn't pay their bills. And the church doesn't want you to know anything. They want you to be under their thumb. So I'm not that I don't believe in God or anything like that. It's just I feel like they are institutions and they want things to stay the way they are because they will survive.
Yeah, I think people are very afraid of change and, in particular, the patriarchal system that's in place, any sort of change, is very hard, yet that's change. Change is really critical. And it's really interesting because you've had such personal experience of growing up in a culture that was so male dominated, which led you and forced your life in a certain direction. So I can imagine that you'd be feeling good to have all these freedoms. But on the other hand, there's this discussion around we shouldn't be even having this conversation because things should be equal from the get-go. So it's a very
Yeah.
it's walking a fine line. I feel you. I feel you so much, Teresa, because you have experienced that. I haven't, but you have. And so I think that that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Um, this next question builds on that. So what would you change, if anything, to make life better for women?
What would I change?
Hmm.
Well, it's hard to know because, there are so many different things that hold women back, like marriage, children, and like self, like to like themselves, and to believe in themselves that they can do things. That's, I would make sure that women are more and feel that they can do things. A lot of women don't feel that they can do things.
Yeah.
Give them confidence because they suffer so much in the sense that they don't think they are worth. So that's what I think. I think women should work. We should work more like making sure the women think of themselves as a person, a human that they deserve and they are, needed. Not this thing, oh, I don't think I can do this. I know for sure because I grew up and I was very insecure because everything was for the boys. Everything else, it was like, oh, they were going to be the success. They were going to be the ones that were going to make money. They were ones that were going to shine in the world. And I think women get this like saying, well, I'm not worthy because I'm not getting any attention from my parents or, my school or my friends. You get there.
Yeah, I can relate to that actually. I was a middle child. I was the only girl. My parents were separated, and my father, well, he was more about himself, not a narcissist, but self-absorbed. So we did a lot of his activities, but I never could get his attention with things. And then, like, I think the cascade of feeling worthy or unworthy and feeling like I couldn't do. And I was just fortunate to find the things that I'm passionate about and figure it out and have the journey. But I think it isn't, I mean, that is a great message. If we can build the internal self, the confidence, the
Yeah.
esteem, the worthiness to know that you deserve to that, whatever it may be, which builds up the self-efficacy, the strength, and it's really powerful. So I think that's a great comment. And I think back to your earlier comment is you tell your 18-year-old self to focus, and really education is key for women. I think that's another way. The more educated the women are, and this isn't education necessarily in attending a university, educated on themselves, who they are, what they're
They
capable
are
of,
what they are.
the
Yes.
worthiness. That's like more of
Yeah.
a self-care type of education. That would be
Yeah.
really powerful.
Yes, definitely. I think.
Mm.
But it's very hard, no matter how advanced your culture is and how things going in the world. Women are always like little dolls, um, not really important and with big things. So we have to be courageous, I guess. Fight the fight. There's no other way.
Couldn't agree more. That's yes, we have to be courageous and fight the fight. Do you feel this is moving right along to the sisterhood? So we talked all about your female experiences and being a woman and the things, dealing with being a woman in today's world, and then things we would change. But to change into the sister aspect, do you feel part of a sisterhood?
Yes, I love my sisters. They're fabulous. And I have a lot of fun with my sisters. That, I never was very much into like, a lot of friends, but I love having friends, especially women friends. I think it's very important in my life to have women friends. I feel like I feel protected. I feel that I'm heard. I feel like, they'll give me good ideas and all the goodies in the world that a girl, like, okay, what are we going to do today? Oh, yes, we're going to go for a hike, or, things that we do together that makes you feel like, you belong, you're part of something. So that's important to me.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I I feel similarly. Yeah, no, I just love that. I have a couple more questions. One, this is a big one. We're leaving the conversation and you have this platform and you can go out and speak to women of all ages, of all cultures, of all backgrounds. What would the message be that Tereza would want to give to women?
Oh, that's a difficult one because people are so different. Um, because some women believe on the old, world, how women were treated, how women should be, and all that. And there are ones like us that just walk away and make their own world. So I think the women have to really think really seriously to go ahead on the things they want to do. Because most of the time, women really get afraid. The other thing is that they believe what their friends say, and some of those friends that they are not friends, they are just like bring you down. So there's a lot of things, and a lot of people think that, like I said, they can't do it, and then they go into drinking or drugs or whatever. So that's what my last bit.
So it's really back to having courage to go and be and
Yeah,
do,
you
believe in
really
yourself.
have to have courage and have guts. Really. Because if you don't have guts, you won't make it. I don't know, many people think, oh, if you are very ambitious, and they start thinking that you are greedy and you are this or you are that, and that you are like, a domineering woman, that you want to emasculate the man. No, it's interesting how things get twisted sometimes. But it's, again, it comes to education.
So I think education's your thread throughout, which I think is really right. But I think it's education on so many different levels. So, the intellectual part of education, but then there's the human, the heart, the
Yes.
spirit, the things you
Yes.
feel and lean into
Yes.
and intuit. And women are so intuitive. So like believing in yourself and all of those, that's, education gives you confidence. Knowing about things and understanding things gives you the confidence to then do them and have that courage that you talked about, right?
Right. I feel like, okay, education is important, but I feel also that loving yourself is even more important. That's number one. And you have to love yourself to go forward and think, I'm okay. I can do this. And, you know, we always put ourselves down. But, like I said, we have to go to work.
I love that. I love that. I think that that was a little surprise thing from you today, Teresa, which is, loving yourself, because it all does begin with how you feel about yourself within and loving yourself. And that gives you the power to do all those other things.
Yeah.
Because when you love yourself, you believe and you know you can do, and you understand your value and worthiness and all of that. So I think that's just beautiful. That's just beautiful.
Well, I feel like we are like, we have to see that we were born according to like Adam and Eve. It's just like they say that he created the woman, but no, it's not true. They think that's what was invented things. Say, so we created you, therefore. So that's what the point, that we have to see that you are you. Mother has created you. You don't have to be like, think that you totally belong to the world of masculinity. But most women don't see that. If they don't have a man, they are not, something's wrong with them. I don't know. I just don't accept that from us women.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And so I think, and it's interesting, just giving you this space to hear and honor everything you say, you're saying and you feel. I mean, I think your point of view has been very interesting, Teresa, and I'm so grateful to have had this conversation with you today.
Thank you. I hope to see you again soon.
I would love to see you again soon. Thanks for listening to Under the Sisterhood. We hope you will join us next episode to honor amazing women from around the world. This podcast is created and hosted by Under the Sisterhood, LLC, and Elizabeth Elfenbein, produced by Elizabeth Elfenbein and Zach Slav, and edited by Zach Slav. The music is by Ayla Schaefer. Her song, Rose.